Hello everyone, welcome to Help in Learning platform. Today we are going to start a new lecture series on science and technology. Our first topic will be biotechnology. In biotechnology, our topics of discussion will be what is biotechnology, basics of biotechnology, tools and process of biotechnology. What is biotechnology? Techniques of using living organisms. Living organisms like mushrooms, which are a type of fungi, are consumed by humans, or enzymes. Enzymes like lipases, which are produced by microbes like bacteria and fungi, are used in detergents for removing oil stains from organisms to produce products like curd, which is produced from milk with the help of lactic acid bacteria, and processes like fermentation, which are used for brewing alcohol useful to humans. Is curd example of biotechnology? Yes, in a true sense it is example of biotechnology. I have all the examples I have given here are examples of microbes. But in current day or in modern biotechnology, we deal more about genetic engineering, in vitro fertilization, in vivo fertilization, etc. But before going to all that, we will have a basic discussion about microbes and their uses in human life because they are important for exams. Going next. Microbes and their uses. Microbes are nothing but unicellular microorganisms like bacteria, virus, fungi, and algae. They are used in household products like in production of bread or making of bread. Baker's yeast is used, which is a type of fungi in industrial products. Fermented beverages. In fermented beverages are produced by microbes by using process of fermentations. Antibiotics. In production of antibiotics like penicillin, which is produced from a type of fungi. So they are used. Coming to a source of energy and food. Important thing is here is as a source of energy biogas. What is biogas? Biogas is produced when the bacteria break down the sugars, complex sugars or waste like cellulose in the absence of oxygen, and the biogas is mainly composed of methane, carbon dioxide and traces of hydrogen sulfide. And the bacteria which anaerobically when they digest sugars which produce methane are called as methanogens. They are also present in rumen, that is gut of cow. Biogas, why it is important? It is a renewable fuel. First of all, it can be used for converting of waste into energy, and third, it can be used in household purposes. And going to next, bioethanol. Bioethanol is is produced by microbes by using process of fermentation. Bioethanol is produced from sugars which are sourced from maize or cellulose like from grass, and they are converted into ethanol with the help of microorganisms by fermenting them. Bioethanols have very net less emissions when compared to the conventional fuels, so they are important. Even genetically modified microorganisms like algae, called as algae, are used in the production of biofuels. We will have much more discussion about this in the ecological lecture series. Coming to next, as source of food, single cell proteins. Single cell proteins are microbes which have more protein content in them, like for example like spirulina and chlorella, which are consumed by humans. For example, nowadays you can find spirulina capsules in market, which are widely used. And moving further, microbes are also used as biocontrol agents and biofertilizers. Biocontrol agents. Microbes are used as biocontrol agents. For example, microbes like viruses, bacteria cause diseases in humans. Similarly, they also affect pathogens, insects, pests, which are harmful to crops. So we take these specific virus or bacteria or microbes which are harmful to the pests which cause trouble to the crops, or the pathogens which cause trouble to the crops, and these we select these viruses or bacteria in such a way that they only harm the undesired bacteria or undesired insects or pets, and do not affect the humans or crop or the higher animals which are useful to us. Example, Trichoderma, a fungi, uh, infects a pathogen which prey on plants. Similarly, baculoviruses, a group of viruses are also used. Coming next, biofertilizers. Biofertilizers means microbes which have life are used as fertilizers. For example, Anabina and Nostoc are used as fertilizers. What are advantages of using biofertilizers? They are widely used in organic farming, and usage of biofertilizers also decreases the usage of conventional fertilizers or chemical fertilizers, and they also help in improving of soil health by not impacting the soil organisms, and and they also help in increasing the yields of the crops, and they also help in the absorption capacity of the crops, and they also help the tolerance level of crops for pH and aridity. And a best example of this is also mycorrhizae, which is a type of fungi which lives in symbiotic relationship with the plants. It protects the plants from pathogens, and it gives nutrients to the plants. It also increase the tolerance level of the plant to the pH. And we'll have further discussion about this in ecological lecture series. This is the brief discussion about microbes and their uses. Before going to any further about genetic engineering or gene editing techniques or transgenic animals, etc., we should know basics about what is a gene and how what is a cell, where it is present, and etc. So we will deal with the basics first. Next, we are going to deal with the basic unit of life, that is cell. Here I have written eukaryotic cell. What is eukaryotic cell and what is prokaryotic cell? In eukaryotic cell, you have a nucleus which is bounded by membrane, whereas in prokaryotic cell, you do not have nucleus bounded by membrane, and in prokaryotic cell, you do not have any cell organelles like mitochondria or Golgi apparatus, etc. Here, and even in even in eukaryotic cell, there are a lot of difference. For example, in plants, there is a cell wall present, but in a human cell, there is no cell wall. And moving further, our discussion today will be more about DNA. So before going to that, we have to know about 3 to 4 cell organelles which are important for today's discussion. Mitochondria, which are also known as powerhouses of the cell, because they help in the production of ATP, adenosine triphosphate, which is energy currency of the cell. And coming next, ribosomes. Ribosomes are the place where the synthesis of proteins takes place, and nucleus and nucleolus and cytoplasm. And as you can see here, these thread-like structures, they are DNA. So what is DNA? DNA is deoxyribonucleic acid, or chemically it can be defined as it is a polymer chain of nucleotides, and it carries inheritance or genetic material. Next, is DNA present in prokaryotic cells? Yes, it is present in prokaryotic cells. It is present in bacteria. It is even viruses also have DNA. And in which cell organelles is DNA present? Generally, a misnomer is that DNA is only present in nucleus, but DNA is also present in mitochondria. And mitochondrial DNA, if someone have defect in mitochondrial DNA, there is chances of him getting it is associated with neurodegenerative diseases. So in so we will deal more about mitochondria in 3-parent baby section. Next, what is the structure and composition of DNA? Structure of DNA is double helical structure, and composition, as I said, it is a polynucleotide chain. So what is a nucleotide? That is monomer of DNA. What is a nucleotide? Before going to what is a nucleotide, you should know what is nucleoside. Nucleoside is made up of a base and sugar. Here base means a nitrogenous base. What are nitrogenous bases? For example, in DNA there will be 4 nitrogenous bases. They are adenine, thymine, guanine, cytosine. And any of these 4 bases will merge with sugar and form a nucleoside. What is nucleotide? Nucleoside plus a phosphate group forms a nucleotide, and the chain of nucleotides form a DNA molecule. And this was a previous question asked in CDS exam. Polynucleotide chain of DNA contains a nitrogenous base, deoxyribose sugar, phosphate group. As I said, phosphate group and nitrogenous base. And I said sugar, but I did not mention this word. But you can also do it by deoxynucleic acid. So you can go with this. But before going to that, we will see the other options also. A nitrogenous base, ribose sugar, phosphate group. So this stands for RNA, which we'll know in the next slide. Deoxyribose sugar, ribose sugar. So there is no nitrogenous base in it, so it cannot form DNA. A nitrogenous base and phosphate group only. There is no sugar group at all. So you can eliminate these two. Coming to this, there is only two letters difference. That is only small difference. Deoxyribose and ribose. As name itself indicates, only difference is deoxyribose and ribose, which we will this is called the second option is called as RNA and first is DNA. We will know more detailedly about them in the next slide. And here you can see deoxyribose nucleic acid and ribose nucleic acid. The difference, as I said, here there is OH, here there is H. There is a difference of oxygen. So this is called as deoxyribose nucleic acid. This is called as ribose nucleic acid. And in the composition of DNA and RNA, the one nitrogen base differ. That is, here DNA contains thymine, whereas RNA contains uracil and does not contain thymine. And in general, RNA is single stranded in general, not always, whereas DNA is double helical structure. And as you can see from the diagram, there are two base pairs like AT and GC. That is, adenine and thymine pair up with each other, and guanine and cytosine pair up with each other. So these are called base pairs, and these are bonded to each other. That is, adenine is bonded to thymine with the help of hydrogen bonds, and similarly it applies to the guanine and cytosine. Going further, and what are tools and processes which are associated with DNA, and they are also related to biotechnology. First, replication. In replication, in simple terms or in a layman language, DNA is replicated. That's what we can say. A DNA molecule produces two DNA molecules. That is, the two stranded structure splits and it forms two DNA molecules. Coming to transcription. As you can see here, transcription. Transcription is conversion of DNA into RNA is called as transcription. But before going into it, we should know other term called gene. What is a gene? Gene is nothing but a chain of nucleotides, as simply said, but it has a function. That is, it can express itself. It is coded for a particular function like producing proteins or synthesis proteins, which have an important role in function or life of cell. So each gene has a different code, and it should produce a protein or it should be able to express itself. So as I said, DNA is present in nucleus or mitochondria, but earlier I said protein synthesis takes place at ribosomes. So the so-called gene is present in nucleus or mitochondria, but the synthesis should take place in the ribosomes. So the DNA or the genes do not move all the way out to the ribosomes and do not make or do not synthesize proteins. So they use a messenger. This is called as mRNA. So this messenger carries the code and take it to the ribosome and help in the synthesis of protein. The production of mRNA from DNA is called as transcription, whereas conversion of mRNA, that is synthesis of protein from mRNA, is called as translation. But I have given another word here, RNA interference. What is RNA interference? See, if you look here mRNA, that is RNA, is helping in the synthesis of protein, but you are interfering this process. How do you interfere in this process? By using, for example, microRNA is a type of RNA which either breaks, that is cleavage, or break this RNA and stops this function of conversion synthesis of protein, or simply microRNA pairs up with this mRNA and stops this proton. So what happens? The gene will not be able to produce protein, even though gene is functional. So this is called as gene silencing. Without the disturbing DNA structure or gene, we will stop the production of protein. Why and going further, why it is useful or how it is useful even in higher animals and humans. This microRNA, this RNA interference is a natural defense mechanism. For example, when a virus or pathogen affect a cell, what it does is, it the virus or a pathogen also have some certain kind of genes which help them for preying on the cell and or destructing the cell. So what we do is that what we or the cell do is that in RNA interference they produce microRNA which go and interfere with the mRNA produced by the virus, so that mRNA is of a virus does not do its function. That is, it is stopped from expressing itself, or it stopped from destructing the cell of the human. This is one of the example, or it can also be said even it is used in plants where pathogens release some kind of mRNA and which destroys the cell. So what we do is we interfere. So this has mRNA interference has wide range of applications. We will see in the next questions or next slides about this. Moving next. The process of copying genetic information from one strand of DNA into RNA is termed as translation, transcription, replication, and mutation. As I have already discussed, if you go to the back slide, translation means conversion of mRNA into, that is synthesis of protein from mRNA, that is called as translation. And what is transcription? Transcription is production of RNA from DNA. So this is the answer, transcription. So we will see the other options also. Replication. What is replication? Replication, I said, is producing a replica of the gene, or sorry, producing the replica of DNA. So this can also be eliminated. So the answer is transcription. What is mutation? Mutation is the improper or defect gene function, change in the gene code, and it malfunctions in a simple way. That is called mutation. And mutation of genes leads to cancer. In a simple sense, cancer is abnormal multiplication of cells. So in the RNA interference is also used to stop the functioning of malfunctioning genes. So this is also one of the application of RNA interference. Moving further, this was a previous question asked in UPSC Civil Service Examination Prelims in 2019. RNA interference technology has gained popularity in the last few years by. It is used in developing gene silencing therapies. Yes, I have said this. We have already discussed about this. Yes, the gene will not be able to express itself. So this is called as gene silencing therapies. Yes, they are used frequently. It can be used in developing therapies for the treatment of cancer. Yes, as I said previously, they can be used in treatment of cancers, as they will stop the defective gene from expressing itself. That is, they inhibit the malfunctioning gene. And moving further, it can be used in developed hormone replacement therapies. We will discuss about this while later after seeing the fourth option. It can be used to produce crop plants that are resistant to viral pathogens. Yes, it can be used to produce resistant to viral pathogens. So there is 4 should be there, 2 should be there, 1 should be there. So only only option carrying 1 to 4 is A. So A is the answer. But before going to that, we'll have a discussion about the third statement. It is said that it can be used to develop hormone replacement therapies. So in hormone replacement therapies, you do not silence any gene which produces hormone. Either you activate it or you directly give hormone to the person or the cell directly. So you can say that there is no silencing here, silencing of gene here, or there is no interference in the synthesis of protein here, or the function of gene here. So third one is eliminated. So it's wrong. And moving further, in this, like in producing crop resistant crop plants that are resistant to viral pathogens, we use a technique called recombinant DNA, so that miRNA is not induced or induced by us externally all the time. So what does this recombinant DNA does is that recombinant DNA helps in the synthesis of microRNA, which inhibits the which inhibits the viral pathogen processes. So what is recombinant DNA? Recombinant DNA means molecules of DNA from two different species that are inserted into a host organism to produce new genetic combinations that are of value to science, medicine, agriculture, and industry. Or simply you can say recombinant DNA is all about cut and paste. We cut a gene or we isolate a gene which is beneficial to us or which is useful to us, and we insert into other DNA so that it get replicated. For example, you take an insulin gene from humans and we insert it into a plasmids. We isolate this gene, that is, we cut this gene from human cell by using molecular scissors. Similarly, we cut this plasmid also using molecular scissors. Molecular scissors are nothing but enzymes. For example, they are called as endonucleases or exonucleases. Best examples of molecular scissors is Cas9, which is in use frequently. Sorry. And after cutting, these two are pasted and a recombinant DNA is formed. How these two are pasted is by using an enzyme called ligase, which paste these and form a recombinant DNA. And after a recombinant DNA is formed, it is introduced into a cell or bacteria, that is, which is called as host. For example, we will deal this with an example, then I will explain it. Take, for example, GM crops. In GM crops, for example, take BT cotton. In BT cotton, what happens is there are two genes which are isolated from the Bacillus thuringiensis bacteria. They are Cry1AC and Cry2AB. Cry1AC helps in production of plants from cotton bollworms, and Cry2AB helps in production of plants from corn borer. And these two does it by producing proteins which are toxic to these pests. So how we use this technology, that is recombinant DNA technology here, is that we take a Bacillus thuringiensis bacteria and we isolate these genes here, as you can see here. And what we do is we isolate these genes and place it in a plasmid. That is, what is plasmid? Plasmid is nothing but a circular DNA present in bacteria. Or we generally use plasmid. These are called as vector, as they carry our required genes, that is beneficial genes which are required to us. So after cutting the beneficial genes, they are pasted near the plasmid. So then a recombinant DNA is formed, and now this recombinant DNA is inserted into host cell. That here it is a plant cell. So when it is inserted into a plant cell, now the plant cell carries these two genes and it automatically produces toxins, so that when pests or the cotton bollworms or corn borer consume these pests, which are toxic to the, when cotton bollworms or corn borer consume these proteins which are toxic to them, they die. So these are the processes used in GM crops. And further applications will be further applications of recombinant DNA and biotechnology, with linking them with current affairs, will be dealt in coming lectures. Thank you.